It really has multiple usage. So whether it's your first time introduction to a client, blending those first couple grays, or even using it as a toner, and hopefully you guys can see that, using it as a toner, dual coloring where you're refreshing mid-shaft ends or your low lights. We're doing tint backs with our back-to-back technique. It really has so much usage, and because of the fact that it is so conditioning, clients respond exceptionally well. We have clients that come in and ask just for that because of the tone and because of the condition. So the usages are huge, which is why you'll see us say endless possibilities. So I know the name Semi Color can be a little confusing. We are a Dutch manufacturer. For those of you that don't know Keune, we are family owned and operated and have been for almost 100 years. We were founded in 1922 and we are from Holland. So when you hear the name Semi Color, that is its proper name. It's the proper name of the product, but it is a demi-permanent hair color. So a deposit hair color. There's no lift in it. It just gives beautiful tone to the hair, whether you're doing a tone on tone or whether you're doing low lighting, corrective color, glazing, toning, all of those things, you're not going to receive the lift. So that's with demi-permanent, remembering that that is oxidative and non-oxidative, so you get the best of both, and you'll get the longevity that you want from it because it's going to last about 4 to 6 weeks, depending how often they shampoo. Good. So a couple of the features and benefits that make it work so well is it is ammonia free. It does have a natural pH. And working with it, like I said, it's long lasting, and that's because it does have the combination dyes. So you get the best of both worlds in that conditioning atmosphere and that benefit. And it's also the consistency, and I'm going to mix that up in just a sec. The consistency is just phenomenal. So it works really well whether you're freehanding or when you're working with long hair, you don't have that drip on the floor or it doesn't spread and get into other areas because of that wonderful consistency. It's kind of a gel cream type viscosity of that product. So it works really, really really great with that. There's also something called Silsoft. Silsoft is a 3D technology. It has extra shine, extra condition, and extra durability. So that's where you'll get that beautiful touch to the hair when you're done. It detangles easier. It feels better. It has a very natural sheen. It looks like healthy, natural hair. So mixing and timing, this is one of the reasons why I love it, is because it is so easy to use. So mixing, it's a 1-to-2 ratio. So it's 1 part Semi Color, 2 parts Activator. So you'll see, we'll discuss this. So there's an Activator and then the Semi Color. So you'll mix 1 part of color, 2 parts Activator. It only has to process for 20 minutes. And you can apply it on damp hair. We do have a dry option that we'll discuss when we get into dual coloring, but I love it because you can apply it to damp hair. So it does make it, especially when you're working in toning and on your blondes, it's great because you don't have to completely dry the hair. You don't want it wet and drippy, but you just want it evenly damp. So it works great. Now, I just changed my iPad, so I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to mix them up. So I'm going to use my little Keune bowl, which I just like to share this because I think it's super great. This is a dry erase section, so you can mark your formulas. So if you have 2 or 3 things going, you can put like B for base or A for formula A, but that's just really fun. Dry erase marker. Definitely not a Sharpie. I had a coworker that accidentally used a Sharpie on one of my bowls. It did eventually come off, but just affected it for me. So we're going to start with the Activator, 2 parts Activator. I like to put my activator in first. Even in my colors, I like to put my developer in first, just because I think it's easier if I over pour. This is easier to put back in if I need to, versus the color, obviously you can't. I am mixing up one of our specialty colors. It is called Silver. See if you can get that. So.
Courtney, can you kind of explain? We have a question about silver. What exactly is silver?
Silver, and we're gonna, if I can ask you to hold that one, because I will go into that more when I get to the tonalities, because silver is one of my favorites. So mix that up. So with that, trying to get it so it's gloppy. So see if you can see that. So hopefully with the consistency, I know it's really great. I know you can't have the fragrance, but it's just a soft one. It does not smell like a chemical. It doesn't smell like color. None of our Keune colors do. But with Semi Color, I like that because it really does almost feel like you're doing a treatment, because it's got that soft, light fragrance to it. And just to show you how easily it smooths through the hair, I have Emma with me.
Emma went blonde.
Emma did go blonde. So, well, sugar. Okay. I had a water bottle somewhere. I left it in the other room. So one of the things you can do, we also have something called protein spray, which is from our Care line. This is Vital Nutrition. So it's a light equalizing protein spray. So you can either lightly mist with water or a protein spray. And I like to do that through the ends because it will help with a glide. See if you can get that there. But it just spreads really easy. You don't have to work hard through it. It's got a great consistency. You can see. So just do a couple of sections, because that's one of the reasons I fell in love with this, is I really liked that I could do creative techniques with a demi color and have it still, like if I wanted to separate this and then paint another color this way, I didn't have to worry about it, A, transferring on each other, or B, starting to spread and drip. It just was a really quick, easy application that also stayed in place, which I liked. So, all right. No need to watch all that, but just kind of hopefully that helped. Did it help? Maybe, maybe not. All right. Jamie, how are we doing with questions other than silver, which I will get back to?
Good, good. We just got one from your niece. She said, can I use Too Faced spray?
Oh, I love that question. So the difference between Too Faced spray and Vital Nutrition is really kind of big. So Vital Nutrition is something we would recommend before, during, or even after color. Where Too Faced spray, we're only going to recommend after. It does have conditioning benefits, but it's also part of the Keratin Smooth line. So it has more of that defrizz and the anti-humidity. It's going to help with that. Even though it is a low pH and it is a protein base, it's not the same type of protein. So we don't recommend it before the color, but by all means use it after the color, because it's a fantastic product. So
that was a great question. I never even really thought about the difference of using one or the other.
Yeah, so if I'm going to sidebar if I can on that for just a second. So for those of you that are a little familiar with our retail line, so also within Vital Nutrition, there's a product called Porosity Filler. Porosity Filler is a fantastic spot treatment that's a cosmetic treatment for a client to use. Like, let's say they're growing out their bangs and They want to make sure these ends stay happy and don't get that little furry effect. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, no? Okay. So when you look at that, that's what porosity filler would be for. It's not a porosity filler before color. So we don't recommend that beforehand. The only thing we really recommend before is going to be our protein spray or vital nutrition mask, or you could use bond fusion, which is our bond builder, but we would recommend that in the process, and we can talk about that at the end. So great questions. I love it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I am actually a huge user, Courtney, by the way, of the porosity filler because my hair is long and I've lightened it and then made it bright red. And so just to keep it all looking good, it's like the world's best blowout spray.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And a little bit goes a long way. Keep in mind, sometimes the size of the bottle kind of tells you how much you need of it.
Yeah.
So the smaller the bottle, the less you're probably going to need. Just a little hot tip. All right, so with Semi Color, there are two things. There are two activators. There's the regular activator, and then there's one called red activator. So the one you're going to use most of the time is the silver. This is the regular activator. When you mix, remember it's a 1-to-2 ratio, so you're always doubling the activator. When you double your activator, the working volume is going to be 5.6 volume. So it's very low. It's not going to affect the natural pigment. You're not going to get any lift from it. The grow out will be very soft, very easy. But sometimes we have clients that live in the darker range, right? So think of those natural clients with dark hair, like levels 1 through 5. How many times have you ever put a demi color on them? And you're like, this is going to look really pretty in the sun. Like you feel like you got to take them outside so they can see their hair color. That's what I love about the red activator. So red activator in the mixture is going to be approximately a 7 volume. Sorry, so you can see this. So it's a 7 volume. And what that does is it's going to give you just a little tiny bump of the natural pigment. So it's going to give you just a little bit more contributing and make that brighter. So those darker colors, especially when you're using red tones, it's going to give you a little more intensity to it. It's going to make that red a little brighter. Now, just so you know, there's not any red in it. It's white. What makes it different is that it's a slightly higher developer or activator, I'm sorry. Questions on that? Yes, no, good. I'll say most of the time, like when I'm doing refreshing mid-shaft ends, which is our dual coloring, or if I'm using it as a low light or as a toner, I'm always going to go for just regular activator. Pretty much the only time I go for the red activator is when I'm dealing with level 5 and deeper. You'll have different people like George Alderetti, who's one of our global ambassadors. He likes to use it all the time. He likes to get that little extra bump from that natural melanin. When I'm using it over hair that's already been lightened, I don't want to disturb that anymore. I'm going to work with what's there. So I just always go for the regular one.
We do have one question if you could use red activator for stubborn gray, would it assist in that?
Nice question. Anytime you're going to use the red activator, what you're going to get is a slightly warmer result. So just keep that in mind. So if you are going to use it in a stubborn gray scenario, you might want to adjust your formula because your results could be slightly warmer. But yes, you could definitely use it.
And maybe you already said this, but what is the expectation on using Simi with gray hair?
Oh, I haven't even gotten there, but yes, Thank you very much. I'm sorry. No, I should have said that on the front.
I got excited.
No, that's great. I will go ahead and answer that now. So 70% gray blending is what you can expect from a semi-color application on gray hair. So it's going to add tone, but not necessarily cover all of it. So keep that in mind with it. And then I'll give you a couple formulas that can give you a little bit more blending or optimize your blending. But yeah, so 70% is the gray blend. Thanks, Jamie. See, I got so excited. I just skipped over that. So Sorry. All right, so I don't know how many of you have a swatch book at home, but I'm going to show you mine. So with Semi Color, if you're not familiar with Keune, our Semi Color and our Tinta are in the same book. So you'll see that. When you look on this front, down here is what we'd call a key, and it's going to give you a guide to which tones are which. So everything in the square is our permanent line, which is Tinta Color. So you'll see our gray series. We go through with our special blondes, working our way in through our limited edition, red infinities, going through those. We have the same thing with the circles. Anytime you see a circle, that's a Semi Color. So when you look at that, and then you can come up to the swatch. So for example, let's see if I can get close enough to that. You see that? So like 5.23 has a circle and a square. So that's available in Tinta and Semi. When you look through the book, this first line is still your natural level finder, which is really cool. So you can take that out, find your natural or existing level. So if you're toning, you want to make sure that you figure out the level that you're at. So that's where the first line is. So those are your natural shades. Working your way over, you'll go from cool into your warm, into your browns, and then reds, cool reds. And then down at the bottom, you'll see our mixed colors. You will also have the guide for all your special instructions, so that it will remind you when to use red activator or regular activator, your processing times, all of that, as well as, whoops, as well as the Keune tonalities in general. You'll have that in there. So this gives you your nice little guide. It's like having your own Courtney in the salon, right? So for our new to Keune friends, I want to go through our tonalities. For those of you that are already familiar, let's just review them. So as we're talking, that way we're speaking the same language. With Keune, our color characters are done in numbers. So anytime you see a decimal, everything after that is a color character. So where that example before I had a 5.23, that would be a natural level 5 with the color characters of 2 and 3. So 0.1 is ash blue, 0.2 is pearl, 0.3 is gold, 0.4 is copper, 0.5 is mahogany, 0.6 is red, 0.7 is violet, 0.8 is brown, and 0.9 is anti-red, which is also known as green. So for our new friends or existing users, any questions about tonalities that
What
you
is
have?
pearl? We have a question of what is pearl?
Love that. Great question. So pearl is made from 2 parts violet and 1 part red. Which is a really good thing to know, because keep in mind, especially when working with a demi-permanent color, if you have something that has a pearl in it and the hair is porous, then it might be attracted to that, because as we know, porous hair will go drab or attract that coolness that's in a formula. So keep that in mind with the pearl. So on that, mahogany is the opposite of pearl. So where pearl is 2 parts violet and 1 part red, mahogany is 2 parts red, 1 part violet.
We do have another great question about tonalities is what is brown?
Love it. So within our series, and I want to make you guys raise your hands, and I know you can't. I want to be like, so anyway, it's like, all right. So to put this in perspective, so our naturals in Semi Color are neutral. They're neither warm nor cool. So they're a nice, soft, neutral balance, which is great because you're always putting tone back to the hair. So it's good because you don't have to fight pigments. That being said, brown in general has a tendency to be a soft, warm tone. So our color character of brown is made from 3 parts mahogany and 1 part gold, and it is a warm tonality. See if I can get the best visual of that. There is, where's my 3/8? There. So is that too blurry if I get in there? So that's 6/3/8, 7/3/8, and 8/3/8. So it gives you a nice warm tone. So it really has all of those tonalities. So it's a balanced brown, where like in Tinta, our natural brown is a cooler brown. In So Pure, it's a softer, warmer brown. And in our Semi Color, it is a neutral brown. Is that good? How are we doing? I want to see everybody's face.
So far, so good.
Okay,
Oh, wait.
good.
Yep, they said thank you. They are good,
Awesome.
and thank you.
You are welcome. So with that, and I will say there are a lot of reasons why I think Keune is amazing. As a colorist, and I've been doing hair for a while, when I first started in the industry, I didn't understand hair color. It made me kind of crazy because I didn't know why sometimes it did this and sometimes it did that. Like the school I went to did not do a great job of explaining that. So it took me a long time to really find the resources, get the training, get the information. And so once I understood that, then that's where my head was going. So when I had the opportunity to learn Keune, I loved the fact that they actually told you what tones were there. Not only that, but how much of those tones. So I really felt like I didn't have those oopses that would happen because I knew exactly what I was putting on the hair and how much I was putting on the hair. So the fact that we share the color composition, I think is huge. And what's great is that's the same across our whole portfolio. So regardless of what you're using, if you're using our Tinta color, which is permanent, or our So Pure, which is our ammonia-free permanent color, or if you're using our Semi Color, which is what we're talking about, all of the composition breaks down and the tones are the same. So they all complement each other and they can be used across there. So formulating is not a challenge when you're trying to match up the ends to what's at the scalp because all the tones are the same. And so with that, the composition is something I really want to share. So taking notes, this would be huge. Make sure you write this down. So like I said, anything in front of the decimal is your level. If you see something that's just a level all by itself, let's say we'll go with 6. So that's going to be just 100% of that natural tonality. If you see a number with a point after it and just one number, that's going to be like 6.3 is the example I'm going to use. That's going to be 50% natural, and then it's going to be 50% of that first character. So 50% of that tonality, so your primary character. Then if you have 3 numbers, so like 6.43, which would be, if you're playing along, copper and gold. So you're looking at a copper gold, but then you're thinking, all right, how much is what? This is the part that I fell in love with. Now I know exactly how much copper is in my formula and how much gold. So I'm still gonna have 50% natural. Now I'm gonna have 30% of that first number. So in this case, that would be 30% of copper. And then if you're playing along, that leaves us 20%. So you'll have 20% left. So then you would have 20% of, in this case, gold. So you know that dealing with that light or that dark blonde copper gold lets you know exactly how much copper you're playing with and how much gold you're playing with, as well as how much natural you have. So you really do have more predictable results and also the ability to be really creative. So depending on which way you like to go, you get the best of both worlds. Questions about this? Are we good?
Look good.
All right. So we'll look at this, trying to see. So if you can see the difference between, so looking at your tones, trying to get close enough so you can see. So you can see the numbers. Look for the ones where you're gonna see the circle. Remember, circle, semicolor. So looking at the tones, just giving you an example. And then you'll get over here, you're gonna see a box that says clear. Obviously there's not a swatch because it's clear. You would be surprised how many people ask for a swatch. They're like, where's the clear swatch? It's clear. You can't see through it. So clear is one of our favorite uses, and that really is where we get the opportunity to do the endless possibilities. So clear is going to give you an opportunity to not only create other tones, but also if you want to make something lighter, sheer it out, all of those different things. So you have that ability with clear.
Hey, Courtney, can you tilt the top of your laptop just a tad? They can't see the very bottom.
Oh, sure.
I could when you first came on, and when someone mentioned it, I just noticed it. There we go. I think that looks better. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, my computer didn't work, so I had to put it on my iPad. So
oh, yeah. That's what threw it off. There we go.
I know. So I don't know how much I can tilt, but hopefully that's better.
I can still see about 2 inches below Semi Color Activator.
I don't have anything written under there.
Okay.
So we're good.
Cool.
All right. So with Semi Color, just to give you a guideline, and this is really a guide. Now, we don't have a lot of rules at Keune, and one thing that I did not mention, and I really need to, is we don't use heat with any of our products, but we don't use heat with Semi Color, which I think is fantastic because I think that helps on the condition of the hair and the timing. You don't have to worry about all of that. So if I didn't say it before, let me just say it again. No heat needed at all. All right, so with Semi Color Clear, let's say 6.38. So let's say 6.38 is the color we have. So it's available in Semi Color, but let's say we wanted a 7.38. It's not available in Semi Color. So to make it, one of our options is to add clear. But the question is how much clear, right? So this would be to make a 7.38. You're going to do half and half. So 15 grams of fashion shade. Anything within Semi Color that has a tonality to it is considered a fashion shade. So the naturals and then everything else is a fashion shade. So you're going to use 15 grams of, in this case, 6.38 and 15 grams of clear, and then double your activator. So 30 grams of Semi Activator. That would create a 7.38. Now we actually have 8.38 in Semi Color, but let's say you were out of it. So you had 6.38 and you wanted to create an 8.38. So in this case, we would do 10 grams of your 6.38 and you would do 20 grams of your clear. And again, 60 grams of your, oh, sorry, I wrote that wrong. See, we all get silly with our writing. So you're going to mix it equal parts for one level and 1/3 to 2/3 for 2 levels. What questions do you have? Good. I can see some of you.
Don't see any at this point.
I know. I'm like, I can see a couple people's heads like, okay, good. All right. So now and then you want to create those super light, soft pastel colors. And think of that on like level 10 and higher, right? So when you're working with a level 10 and higher and you just want to put like a little color wash of really soft pastel, and you're wondering how much can I use? What do I need? This is the formula we recommend for that. You're going to use 30 grams of clear and 5 grams of your fashion shade. And then again, double your activator. So what I love, this is, so I know it's not quite summer yet, but we may run into this with some of our clients that come back. Think of those girls that have gotten so light, they're almost like see-through. They're like kind of transparent, right? But yet they don't want to go darker. And you're like, you need something. Like their hair just is no longer shiny looking. It doesn't have that health. Or it's so white that it's not even reflecting light anymore. It's absorbing the light. And you want to put just that little tiny hint back to it to make it look like a natural blonde that they were born with, or just put a little tone to it. This would be the formula that I would use just to put that little bit of a wash over it. So you're not going to make it darker, but you are going to add a little bit of tonality. So that's what this is super great for. So gray blending is one of the main things that I love semi-color for, like between toning as well as gray blending. Those are my two main uses that I do semi-color for. So I have a lot of clients that I will actually, in between the foils that are starting to get gray, I just want to kind of blend it. I'll apply that in between foils for gray blending. Or some of the girls that, you know, they have one hair in their part and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so gray. And you're like, you have one gray hair, but all right. And you want to kind of blend those. This is a great thing. So you could use your normal formulas because remember, they all have 50% gray. So you could still blend with those. But if you're looking for more gray blending, we're going to recommend to get a better tonality on that gray, a truer brown tonality, if you will. So you're going to go 1 part natural to 2 parts of your fashion shade. So going back to, let's say that 6.38, if they had more gray hair and we wanted to see a stronger gray blending from that, so I would use 1 part of a natural 6 and 2 parts, or yeah, 1 part of natural 6 and 2 parts of the 6.38. And then to get maximum or optimal gray blending, you would go equal parts. So I do equal parts of natural 6 and equal parts of the 6.38. So what questions do you have about gray blending? Because I know that's something that I think we forget to use. A lot of times we tend to jump into permanent color right away. And keep in mind, find out, I believe in consultations, it's always important not only to know the history of where they've been, but where they want to go. Because the more the client changes, the less likely you should be using permanent hair color. You're going to want to go in with something that's going to be easily changed. And that's why I love semi-color, because you'll get that ability. If they're a seasonal client that in the fall they want to be red, and in the spring they want to be blonde, in the summer they need to be, well, blonde, you know what I mean? And then they want to slowly go darker again. Putting those lowlights or putting that tonality or giving that softness in semi-color gradually leaves the hair. So you have that ability to change it and still maintain the health of the hair and not feel like you're always having to remove color and put color back in each and every time. So you have a little more versatility. Jamie, what questions do we have?
2 questions. Let's see. Are you still altering the formula as well because it isn't damp hair?
That's what we're going to talk about next. But yes, absolutely, you can.
Okay. Before we talk about that, can you flip your page back to the formula for the color wash again? I believe I also typed it up in the chat room just so everyone had it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just didn't put the activator amounts, but I put the color amounts. And then we have a scenario question. They have a client that has challenging hair. They do 15 grams of 15 grams of 619, and double red develop or activator. Am I doing that right, or should I be doing something else? I think we might need a little bit more information on that question, because I'm assuming they're talking about Simi, and if it's challenging hair, we may, I don't know, I'll let Courtney answer that, but I feel like that might be a time to shift product. But and
So-
also the person who asked that question, if you want to unmute yourself, you can do so. It's just down over on the left-hand side of your screen. If you want to, if I didn't like verbalize that properly.
Did I do it?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you. I hear a not me.
Hi.
Is it Kathleen?
Hello.
Kathleen?
It's Kathleen, yes.
Okay, great.
So, it's actually my boss. So in
course.
the past, we've used Tinta with 20 volume, but it's still she gets hot roots from it. So then I tried using Tinta with 10 volume and processing for 45 minutes. Still gets hot roots. So I finally decided to just give it a shot and try using the red activator with that. And that's been working, but it's still I don't feel like I'm getting as much coverage, obviously, because it's semi and it's not Tinta. I'm not getting as much coverage with her because she has super coarse, super thick hair, but everything else has just been giving her hot roots. So this is at least not giving her hot roots, but it's still a little transparent almost, but it's at least blending. Is there something that I could be doing differently to give her more coverage without getting hot roots?
Sure. There's a couple of things that I would go to first on that. Is one, what's her percentage of gray?
80 to 90.
Okay. And so what type of gray is it? You said it's resistant, but is it white gray or is it silver? Is it salt and pepper?
It's silvery gray.
Okay. So do you know what her natural level was?
She was, we were doing 8, and that was way before I started trying this. I think she was she was around a 7 or a 6.
Her natural, that she was born with.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So there's a couple things, and this is a weird question. Is she vegan?
No.
Okay. So sometimes they contribute a little extra warmth to their hair.
Okay.
All the beta carotene that's in it. So going into resistant gray, I'm always going to probably go to Tinta just because of, especially if it's coarse hair, because I need that alkalinity to swell that cuticle so that I can cover gray. So where Semi-Color will put a blending of it, you're not really going to penetrate. So that's why you're not getting a hot root, but that's also why you don't feel like it's a full covering. So that being said, if you wanted to stay with Semi-Color, then I would even use a little bit more natural to it. I probably, honestly, the red activator is going to give you a slightly warmer result. So using more natural, do maybe 2/3 natural and only 1/3 of the 6.19, which is the matte color. So I would start with that if you want to stay in with Semi-Color. But I would also try 10 volume with Tinta, equal parts your natural and your 619. So you could do 6, 619, and 10 volume on that if you're looking for a little more covering of her hair. So the hot root usually comes when there's actually more natural color left than we realize, and we're getting residual lift. So you're getting more warmth from that. But if you're using half natural and half 619, that may not be the case, and that's why I was just checking what her natural level would be. But the first thing I would do is start, if you want to stay with Semi-Color, adjust that, add more natural to your formula. If you want to jump up to Tinta, I would go with Tinta and 10 volume and try that. For sure. Because it's not that you would have to leave it on longer. It's just, I mean, you could still do 30, 40 minutes, but 30 is standard and 30 will get the job done. It will cover it. So it does give you another option so that you're not going to lift the natural level, but you will have that alkalinity so that you can get a better true covering of that gray.
Okay.
So start there. Jamie or Karen, anything you want to add to that?
It sounds great to me.
Okay. They answered the tech calls, so I know, so they can answer that too.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Okay. Questions? Anything else, Jamie? We good?
We're all good for now.
All right, Karen, thank you. So dual coloring when you are going to refresh mid-shaft ends. So thinking of if you have Tintacolor, in our case, Tintacolor is our permanent color. So at the base, you would go ahead and apply that, let that sit for 10 minutes, then come in and apply mid-shaft ends with your Semi Color formula. That will process 20 minutes, which still leaves you with a 30-minute total processing time. So by refreshing mid-shaft ends, you're not going to slow down your process at all, which is great. So working through that, we talked about there's two different kinds of applications you can apply on damp hair or dry hair. The thing to know is when you apply Semi-Color on dry hair, it might go about half a level to a level deeper, which if you were looking for a formula that's on that, let's say 5.23. So 5.23 is a beautiful, deep, cool, pull that up. So 5.23 is part of our Choco. It's a beautiful, cool brown, but we don't have like a 6.23. So if you were wanting to refresh mid-shaft ends and you have 5.23 at the base, putting a 5 over hair that's already colored could also go deeper. And then the fact that you're applying it on dry hair could make it also go deeper. So you could take 5.23 and add equal parts clear to it so that you've made it one level lighter. And then that will help so that you get the right level. Or of course you could also pick a lighter tone. So it just kind of depends on what you need. But just keep that in mind, that add a little bit of clear when you're applying it on dry hair. But don't forget, you can always take a little bit of water or your protein spray and mist the ends. That you can do that on when you've got tint at the base as well. Not a problem. Karen, what do we have going on?
Yes, we have a question from Kelly. To determine the volume of developer needed, do you count the level of the natural as 1, or is the 1 the first level of the lift?
So we are not talking about Semi-Color. We're talking about like blonding or Tintacolor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I guess that was brought up through the gray. So yeah, I always like to, you've got to count the level you're in. Keep in mind when you're working with a level, let's say a level 5, would we all agree that there's a dark 5, a medium 5, and a light 5? There's kind of nuances within a level, right? So you kind of have to get out of that level before you can get to a 6. So that's why I would include that. You still have to get out of where you are. It's kind of like if you're going on a road trip, I've got to get out of my driveway before I can get on the road. So,
Right.
Great
So
question.
what you're saying is we need to get through that undertone.
Yep, include that, because the minute you put a lightener on there or the minute you put anything that has alkalinity, you're going to reveal undertone instantly. So you're automatically going to start. So I would include that for sure.
Okay. Now we have another question from Kathleen. She said they had a situation with a 5.23 turning purple. She's wondering if you could give her a reason why that may have happened.
5.23 turning purple?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so in 5.23, there is pearl. So if it's on really porous hair, you could definitely grab a little bit of the violet that's in there. So I could see it kind of going maybe mauvish, if you will, because there's not enough gold in that formula on hair that's missing undertone. So if you were using it as a low light or missing it as going darker on previously lightened hair, then I could see where it would pick up a little mauvish for sure. And that would be because of the porosity grabbing that coolness from the pearl. But beyond that, was that the situation that you were in?
No. So
Okay.
she was previously like, I mean, she was like a level 6 brown, just straight. She had a little bit of a redder tint. She wasn't one of my clients, but she was a girlfriend I went to high school with, and one of the fellow stylists was serving her that day. And she wanted just like a richer kind of brown. So the stylist formulated just 523 with Semi Activator and put it on, and it turned almost eggplant purple. Yeah. And like I thought maybe if she had box dyed her hair previously at home, like it just kind of like went funky with whatever was in that box dye at home, but like I didn't get to have a consultation with her. I was just wondering if you had any experience with that ever.
No, I mean, I like this scenario because there are times, and I think we forget that the hair contributes to your end result too. Remember, your end result is always the hair plus the tube of color. So when you think of hair, if it already had red on it and then you put something, even though 5.23 in this case, which is a pearl gold, sounds like it would be a very cool color, it is, but if you put it over red, that violet in that and that red that's in the pearl and then the gold, it's actually going to make the red richer. Now, I'm not sure why it went purple, but I could definitely see where it wouldn't necessarily cool it down. I could see where it would actually richen it up to a cooler red, but not necessarily eggplant. So I'm not sure that I know why that happened. So I might toss that out to Karen and Jamie and see if they know why, but I can say that I know that it would cool it down. Like it would definitely richen up that red for sure.
Okay.
But I'm not sure why it would go actually eggplant. Haven't had that happen yet, and that's one of my go-to colors. So I mean, I'm very familiar with it, and I can't say I've had that. Yeah, I like the question. I might have to look into that because I don't have a solid answer.
Yeah, we'll all have to look into that because that's one color I have not had that before. So
and I had never had that before either, because I had used it quite a few times too, and then like it happened, and like while it was processing it was kind of turning purple, and I was like, all right, like let's just ride it out, finish the 20 minutes and see what it looks like. And she rinsed it and dried it, and yeah, it was purple. I was like,
I'm curious, was it just a one-off tube or it happened multiple times? I'm sorry, I had a little
no, you're
sidebar.
okay. No, it was just the one time.
What?
It was just the one time.
Just the one time. I'm wondering if maybe your tube got damaged or something, like it oxidized or something within the tube.
Okay.
Or froze or something, just if it was a one-off, if it was like happening with an entire group that you ordered, like a set of 6 colors, then I would definitely say, let's get some batch numbers and look into this deeper. But I'm almost wondering if there wasn't something that happened maybe to the tube.
Okay.
And then someone also asked for a good formula for Champagne Blonde.
Ooh, okay. That nice segue. I like that because one of the things I would use on that would be up in here. So a couple of colors we haven't talked about yet. In the newer swatch books, you'll notice there's a section up on the top called Glazes. These are our specialty tones from Semi Color. So you'll see there's a peach, soft pink, silver lilac, and a gray. So these are designed for levels 10 and higher to put those specialty tones in there. So it's nice. They can be mixed with other of our fashion shades and our naturals, so you can mix that with it. So when you think of Champagne Blonde, to me a Champagne Blonde, my question would go, if we're looking at Champagne Blonde based on what it was originally called, there was almost a pinkness to it. Or if you're going on a Champagne Blonde, like a bottle of champagne, it's actually a little more of a beige. But Champagne Blonde, to me, I would mix either a natural with the soft pink. So maybe like a natural 10, and then clear if you need it, depending on the level you're trying to go to. So put a little bit of the soft pink to it, or, oh, if I can get there. 9.25 is a pearl mahogany, and that makes a beautiful champagne blonde. So you can add clear to it because usually a champagne blonde is going to be a level 10 or higher. So I would add clear to that, and that makes a gorgeous champagne from my experience with it.
And on the beigey side, if they were looking for more of that beigey champagne?
On that beigey side, 10.2 is the jam, I just have to say. So 10.2, which has that pearl, which is what's on my hair. 10.2 works fantastic, but you can take 10.2 and add just a touch of that peach to it to give it just a tiny hint of warmth. And when I say a touch, like I would do 10.2, maybe 20 grams and 5 grams of the peach. So just a little bit, or even a little bit less, depending on what the condition of the client's hair was. Like if I was to put it on my hair to get the champagne, then I would go with 20 grams of 10.2, and I would probably only do 5 grams of the peach, and then I would add probably 5 to 10 grams of clear just to shear it out just a little bit. So what I love about these specialty colors is that you have the ability to have those soft pastels already, but they don't really have brown to them. So it's nice because you can add that to other tones to give a little different of a nuance. So not only can you put them on blonde, but you can play with it in other tonalities to play. So like the gray has a really nice blue violet. So think about if you're trying to counteract a little bit of warmth to it. So you could do that. It's not just about making hair gray. Same thing with the silver lilac. That's a lot of really soft color when you're looking for like a rose gold. That'd be really cool. If you had lifted somebody up to like a 7, then you could put that in there and just soften up that gold and give it a little bit of that rosy tone. So you have some variety with it. So think of those as things you can use within the other colors as well as things on their own, because they really are very versatile and super pretty.
Thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome. So as with all of our products that we use in Keune, we recommend our Aftercolor program. So even after semi-color, we're going to recommend the Aftercolor shampoo. Keep in mind if you are lightening the hair, so if you've used one of our lighteners or one of our blonding products, you're going to want to shampoo twice. And I think this is where the debate always comes in, like, do you still use the Aftercolor program if you're going to use a toner? Absolutely, because think of the benefits that you get from the Aftercolor program. Not only is it a pH of 4, so it's going to bring the hair back down so it can be in a natural pH that it needs to be. It's also going to help close the cuticle. It's going to stop oxidation, which is huge when you're going to add a toner over it. It's going to seal down and soothe that cuticle so that you're going to get a more even tonality as you spread that semi-color through. It is sulfate free, which is great, and it does have the extra color protection. It does have our LP300, which is our color stabilizer, as well as our Solamere and our silk proteins, which is what's in Tintacolor, but it's beneficial as well after semi-color application. So we would still recommend using that, but you only need to shampoo once with it. So the bottom of the chart. Yeah, you can see that. Questions about the Aftercolor program? Cool. So definitely use that. If you are gonna just use a semi application, we would recommend one shampoo from it. There's no need. Now, if the hair is really intense, like if you, let's say, use one of our red infinity colors, you could shampoo twice just to get all of that off there, because it will help get rid of any residual residue sitting that we don't want that could come off when they go home. So that's always a good thing to do, but definitely use the Aftercolor program. And then of course we do have the take-home care products like our Color Brilliance. So we have the Color Brilliance, which is an amazing color protecting shampoo. We also have Silver Savior, which is our purple. So our neutralizing shampoo, we have that in a shampoo and conditioner. And then Tinta Color Care. Tinta Color Care is also, it's our sulfate-free, paraben-free color care shampoos. So those would be the products we'd recommend for the clients to take home with to extend the life of their color. So what questions do you have? What have we not talked about that you would like to ask about? Nothing? Questions? I can't see everybody's face.
I'm giving fingers long enough to type possibly here.
Okay, good. Okay. Just checking.
Or feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question as well. Everyone looks very question-free, the faces I can see. Kathleen's smiling really big. Hannah's
I
smiling.
see Hannah's smile. I know, I love it. It's like, yay. All right.
I think
So-
they're good. Oh, wait, hold on. How do you make
Yeah.
the distinction on shampoo for take home?
This distinction for shampoo as far as when I would choose one over the other.
I believe that's the question.
So when I think of shampoo, I always think of what their primary concern is. So that's always what I recommend first. So when I'm looking at retail products, the first thing I'm going to do is whatever their primary concern is. So if they want volume, then that would be what I would start them off with. If they want color, longevity, then I would choose between. We have one in So Pure as well, which are So Pure Color Care, and then between Tinta Color Care and Color Brilliance, it really has. If a client specifically wants a sulfate-free shampoo, then I would go with Tinta Color Care. If they don't care, between the two, there's a slightly different fragrance and there's a slightly different conditioning benefit. One's slightly more moisturizing than the other. So based on their hair needs, I would do it that way because they're all going to give you beautiful longevity and they have similar properties, but they're going to give a slightly different weight to the hair. So fine hair might be more of the Color Brilliance, where hair that's a little more coarse, I might go with maybe Tinta Color Care. And then obviously you can mix and match, which is what I love. So the shampoo might be one thing, but I could maybe switch it off with a different conditioner. So maybe my shampoo is Color Brilliance, but the conditioner is Absolute Volume. Or maybe the conditioner is satin oil. So where you want that versatility, you can still do that. So that's how I would choose. Whatever their primary concern is how I choose shampoo. And then based on the texture of their hair is when I would choose one over the other. Great question though.
See, when do you use the blue or red small booster thingies? And do you use those in Simi?
Cool, got that.
Do love me some little booster thingies.
I know, this is what we're talking about, right? I have the blue ones on here.
I think they really should change the name of those to the booster thingies.
I know, the booster thingies, because that's what everybody says.
Yes, I'm always asked what the booster thingies are.
So when you look down here, you'll see on the chart, there'll be the little blue, there it is, the little blue and red ampule. You'll see that. And then when you look at the swatch book, for example, you'll see those next to some of our blonding products. It's really designed, it's a direct dye. Both of these, whether it's the red booster or the cool booster, they are direct dyes. And so they are going to give a little different effect to it, but they can live in an alkaline environment. So they're really designed more for, the blue ones specifically are designed more for our blonding products. But you will see there are some tonalities that have the red booster next to them. You'll see, right? Whoops, wrong side. So there are some that will have the little red booster next to it that you can use. I did not mention, because I'm being a bad girl apparently, our semi-mixed colors. So these are our intensifiers, or when you think about it, this is how you can customize and personalize the formulas. So within Semi Color, the mixed colors, some of them are available. So you'll see like 033, 044, 066, yep, there we go, 066 and 077 are available in Semi Color. So you can use those to amplify your colors if you want to add a little more, or if you need to cool down a formula a little more. We would go with those more just because of the longevity. They'll stir in and become part of the color, so you'll get a truer longevity. versus when you use these, you get an instant boost of color, but it's not going to hold quite as long. Good, great questions.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So far, that's the only question.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Well,
one more. How do you know when to use the cream lightener versus ultimate blonde?
ooh, okay. So when we come over
Now
to
we're really
blonding,
up your alley.
I
Blonding
know.
queen.
So when we come to our blonding products, I mean, there's a couple things. One, the condition of the hair. Two, the technique that I'm going to do. So I think that there are times that I want something that's going to be a little more even and steady lifting because I'm doing something that maybe has a little more intricacy in the applications, or there are times that I need it to go ahead and lift a little quicker because I'm going to want it to get done faster, and especially in that first 20 minutes. Or if I'm starting with darker, more resistant hair that needs to have a definite power boost. So then those are where I kind of position. So for me, the cream blonde, which is really the backbone of our line, I think the cream blonde is great for fine hair. It's great for hair that's already light to begin with, hair that might be slightly compromised because it is a very conditioning bleach. So that's a great time to use that. When you look at power blonde, so all of our blondes are now considered our ultimate blondes. So ultimate blonde power lifting powder got shortened to just power blonde, thank goodness. So power blonde is one that's just fantastic for when you're working with hair that you're trying to get a lot of lift from. So if you're starting on a darker level, like anything that's a 5 or darker, if you think of that, or hair that's really resistant, like coarse hair can be a little stubborn to lift. So that's when I might go to the power blonde. And then of course, don't forget magic, because magic is magic. So magic has a little thicker consistency. So depending on the technique I'm doing, or like curly hair that tends to bounce out of the foil, so things like that, I love magic blonde for it because it also gives a little bit quicker lift out of the gate. So that help?
Yep. You only forgot one.
I know, I didn't talk about Freedom Blonde. Freedom Blonde is our new clay lightener, if you have not played with that. So it is a kaolin clay lightener. So it's fantastic for balayage or open air, ever how you like to freehand, whether it's teasy lights, those kind of things. It gives a great lifting ability. So you have that with our Freedom Blonde. It's very conditioning, has its own dedicated developer, which creates that soft outer skin, if you will. It doesn't have a hard shell like some clay lighteners, so it's super easy to blend with, which is what I love, because my reluctance of a clay lightener for so long was because I seemed to always have lines. I couldn't get it blended, like I had to work too hard. And so when we came out with Freedom Blonde, I was like, oh, it's just so smooth and easy, and it just has that nice little soft shell so that the other hair as you go through does not transfer to it. So you can do that. Although I do like to I will balayage with power blonde too. So just kind of depends on the technique you're going to do. So yeah. And then of course, So Pure has an ammonia free blonde. So we have all kinds of amazing blonde products.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So someone did ask if you were teaching a blonding class. And you know, with the time frame that we're dealing with, or the craziness that's kind of going on, Courtney's uses a lot of blonding classes, actually. However, we have not put that on this type of schedule, but we are like taking back the things that you guys tell us through these webinars and our Facebook Lives, and really focusing in on, you know, making sure those things are offered. So in the follow-up email, just so you guys know, I will include links to everything from our YouTube page to our Facebook page, all of those things, so that you can see things that may have already been done. Because I do believe there were a couple of blonding, like just 1 hour segments of blonding that might be helpful until we can, arrange a Courtney Von Berg blonding class. So those might be very helpful to you guys as well. So you'll get all of those in your thank you for coming email as well after this call. So, or after this whole thing. So that way you guys will have some extra resources. But everything that's been on our Facebook Live is actually uploaded to our YouTube channel within a few days of it. So that way you'll have the entire library as well as this class will eventually be on there as well. This program with Courtney, and then the programs that come up next week and the week after with the gray coverage with George Alderetti and Keune Reds with Jessica Bartolucci. So
yeah, absolutely. I know. So just we're used to doing this in a class. So this is what Jamie, I know. So this is what Jamie will be saying, but obviously, so we have Keune Professionals North America on Facebook, which is where we've been doing our live videos. So look for tomorrow. We have Gareth Palmer, and he's doing a design. So that will be fantastic. He is our lead design creative ambassador. So he'll do an amazing class that you can watch. And then on Instagram, there's Keune Education NA. So NA for North America, since we are global. And then there's also Keune N America. And then you have the Keune N America YouTube, and that's what Jamie will send you the link to as well. But that's when you can go back and watch our other Facebooks. And Amber Skripek did do 2 different blonding ones dealing with the root extension that clients are going to have coming back in. So dealing with, like, let's say you do all over blonding. What are you going to do with that much new growth? And what are some things to remember? So she did an amazing job talking about that. So you can go back and watch that if you want, especially as you're hopefully getting ready to go back into the salons. And then one of my favorite resources is also Keune.com. You can go to Keune.com, and then your country obviously would be North America, but you can look up products. So if you kind of want to go through and just look up protein spray or look up Too Faced spray, look for just a quick little snippet of what it does and what it's good for, who it's good for, that's a great resource for that as well. So using those 2 things. And then obviously Jamie Kaufman and Karen Odell are 2 of your biggest resources. You will get them. They'll send you the tech hotline, so you'll get a chance to call that if there's an emergency. We like to call this our 411, and then that's the 911. So you get those lovely ladies. So yeah. Not 24 hours a day though, right?
Nope.
Like,
We love you, mean it. But yeah, no, but you know, during normal business hours, you can definitely reach us. If you do call in and leave a message, they send them out to us the first thing the next morning. So, you know, and on occasion, you never know, if it looks like a super 911 and we find out about it, we might be able to call some other time. But yeah, so you'll get all of that in the email. I will tell you there is a hot tip as well. In the signature panel, you will see all 3 of our names. And if you actually click on any one of those names, you get to go to our Instagram pages. So, you know, I forgot with this one and the last one to actually tell you who we are, not just Courtney, but Karen and I. We are the field education managers for Keune North America, which means we help to facilitate all education that happens in the field, from your in-salon classes, in-store classes, distributor shows and programs, and all of that as well. So now you have faces with the names. But yeah, we'll send you out all those links so you can catch up on any Facebook Live you may have missed, but know that now they happen pretty much every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch up on those. There's a ton of styling videos as well as, you know, color and chemical product kinds of things and cutting. So, so yeah, we'll send those links out to everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for giving up your time today to be with us. And I hope that you have fallen in love with Semi Color. I know once you get your hands in it, you really will, because it's just a fantastic, useful product that I think everybody that comes in the door can use Semi Color. So thank you again. We really appreciate your investment in with us, and stay well, stay safe, and stay connected. Hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.